All right, all right, all right. It's time for the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. You don't get a countdown tonight because we're going to get right to it. Hey, we got, Tiffany had called in and said she's not going to make it, but we do have Brad backstage and Lucy and something in common with our guest tonight. We have someone running for the U.S. Congress, and this is Sarah Janisse. I want to say Janisse, but it's not Janisse Brown. That's the best I can do on the middle name. I shouldn't even be a host of a show. I can't pronounce people's names correctly, but I think you're going to have a great conversation. But her and Lucy have something in common. They have a bunch of kids. And Lucy's at 4-H tonight, so she will be popping in a little later. And if you are wondering, the eyebrow count is getting closer to trim them, but I still have not enough votes to get them trimmed. So maybe you keep voting. You keep voting. Say trim or no trim. So I got to say, maybe next week I'll come in and they'll be trimmed off. But right now, they're going Hoosier. So smart like an owl. That's what I want. That's what I'm going with. But anyway, we got a good show tonight. Hopefully you caught Witty Reviews. He's feeling a little under the weather, but he was all wound up. Went on a tirade about the roads, fixing the roads, and all the spending that they're doing, and we can't have good roads. That pretty much summed it up. And he digs into some stuff. He digs into that. But let's see. I was going to rant on some stuff tonight, but, I just really don't feel like it. I sort of was ranting about things, and I'm tired of it. I went to a meeting last night, went to the Decatur meeting, and one of the guys said, "You don't seem yourself." So I think they just beat it out of me. I think that's what it is. So anyway, we have a good show. I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest here, and I'm going to bring Brad on. So let's see what we have here. Well, we'll leave the guest at the bottom until Lucy gets here. Sarah, how you doing tonight?
I am so good. It's been a great day just running all over Indiana and having fun, which is what I do best.
Yeah, yeah. So where did you visit today? So your district goes basically Columbus, Indianapolis to Richmond, the Bermuda
Yeah.
Triangle.
Well, this morning I was meeting with the lieutenant governor up in Noblesville, having a fun talk. And then last night I was meeting with Dr. Dan Stock, and that was a fascinating conversation too. And then today I was in Greenwood with 7 people on our campaign team and had a few other meetings here and there, just and then dealing with kids because I have a whole ton of them.
Yeah. Now you have nine of yours and 6 adopted. Is that correct? Or are they all
Well, I had 5 in my 20s, 5 in my 30s, and adopted 5 in our 40s when we were living in Ukraine and doing volunteer work at an orphanage. We found a sibling group of 5 that nobody else wanted to adopt because who wants to adopt 5 kids? We had 10, so what's 5
It's
more,
like,
right?
hey, what's my? You made the Brady Bunch look like a picnic. Full disclosure for our audience. Usually, I don't have a whole lot of contact with the people that we have on the show. Sometimes it's the first time I've met them, but I did go to Sarah's announcement party kickoff, and I was quite impressed. First thing I noticed when I pulled up is that I laid the bricks on this house 30 years ago. So I was like, 1996 was a good year, but made me feel a little old. The bricks are actually doing better than I am. But
They look great.
it was a good crowd, and I was very impressed with how you didn't have to tell anybody you had a bunch of kids. If you just look around your house, there's books, there is all sorts of. It is very kid friendly. It's like you have like a zoo there. You have horses and things. It just was.
Yeah.
I felt a positive energy. So go ahead and tell our folks a little bit about yourself. Now, don't go into the extreme you did at your thing, because after you got done, I thought, wow, you got enough experience to be about 95 years old, and you're not that old. You're only about half of that. So go ahead
Yeah.
and give us the quick version of
Yeah.
what you're about and why you can do this job.
Okay, well, I was raised by a patriot. My dad retired Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force, and my mom is an artist. So when we weren't doing Air Force stuff, we were traveling the whole United States, 47 states, going to fine art festivals. And I grew up in Florida, California, and Ohio, and my favorite state to visit as a kid was Indiana. And everyone thought that was funny, but Indiana had the best art festivals, the Chesterton, the Talbot Street Festival. We had the Children's Museum, Indiana Dunes State Park. Downtown Indianapolis was so cool because of the circle, and Indiana was my favorite state. When I was 14 years old, I met a boy from Indiana. Um, I fell in love. He didn't figure it out for a few more years because we were just kids. But ended up getting married when we were 20 and 21. By that point, I had already been doing mission work in Hungary, Yugoslavia, Austria, Russia, and Romania. And then we got married a year later, had a baby. A year later, had a baby. A couple years later, had another baby. And we just kept going. My dream when I was a teenager was to have as big a family as possible. And my husband wanted two, I wanted eight. We compromised, had 10, and then we added five more. So, but I first got involved in politics by running for town council in Fortville, Indiana, because I wanted to fix up Main Street back in 2009. And that's when I got a passion for politics.
Yeah, and I would say that I was very impressed with your resume of traveling. I think that U.S. congressman would be good for you. You definitely looked congressional, however that looks, and you had a very good speech that you did not read. That very good energy, all that stuff, and so and I get the fact. Let's go over this real quick because it's interesting because you are the only person that's running on the Republican ballot. And give us a
Mm-hmm.
little story about that because I know what it's like to push against the establishment a little bit. I have
Yeah.
scars and bruises from doing such a thing. So
I
give us
got
a little
some
bit about
scars
that.
and bruises too, and I just got on the ballot a month ago.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So, well, when I was serving on the town council and as a delegate for the Republican Party years ago, I just fell in love with serving the community in that way. And I was always the town council member that got sent to all the hobnobs and all the conferences and all the meetings at the state house. And I ended up sitting at so many tables where everyone was complaining, and I was helping them all find solutions. And over, they were saying to me, "Oh, you got to run for governor. You got to run for Congress." And I laughed about it because I was a mom with 8 children under 11 years old. And when I was expecting my ninth baby, it became harder and harder to serve in politics. And I told my husband, I definitely want to do this, but let's wait until our youngest child is 10 years old. And until then, let's go do mission work all over the world. And he's like, okay, because he always says yes to whatever I want. Happy wife, happy life. Everybody needs to learn from my husband. He's the best. And
yeah, he was there in his suit and everything. It's like,
yeah,
doing his part. It's like,
uh,
yeah,
yeah,
he seems to enjoy it.
we have had the best 28 years together. We just have so much fun, and we're fearless. Like, want to move to Ukraine in the middle of a war to go help orphans? Okay, let's go. But so we had decided that when our youngest was 10, we were going to be back in Indiana, and I was going to go back into politics just because I felt like government is supposed to be representative. And I've always been really disappointed in how the people we vote for don't represent the people. They represent big money, big pharma, big banking, big agriculture, big food, big education. Who do they not represent? They don't represent the people that voted for them. They represent, you know,
Yeah, I
you
know
know,
but their own interests. I mean,
yeah.
It's that
I'm
club,
in
John. It's the club, and you're not in it,
it's a
right?
club and
Yeah.
we
That's
ain't in it.
And I'm
So
tired of it. I am so tired of them representing their interests and the interests of the big bigs. In our house, we call the big rich and powerful people who control everything the big bigs, and we think that we need to have people in Congress who actually represent the people. And I've served in the town council. I've traveled the world. I've done mission work. I've adopted orphans. I've said no to a doctor who wanted me to take abortion pills to save my life when I was pregnant with twins. I have raised healthy kids who have only needed a doctor's prescription 3 times in 20 years because I feed them real food. My kids haven't needed antibiotics except once in 20 years. I'm a farmer. I turned a help turn cornfields into grass pastures for animals. I grow orchards and I'm an educator. And really, I developed a therapy to help kids who are dyslexic to learn to read and kids who are autistic to learn how to be social. I'm just a problem solver. And I feel like I can represent the people in my district way better than somebody who really, well, somebody who makes our people feel like they don't matter.
Yeah. Uh, and you see, we have a governor that came back from being a senator because of frustration with, well, it says it's frustration with Washington. Uh, so if you were to say who are the congressmen and women that you admire that are presently there and that may be along the same thought pattern as you or the same beliefs as you? I mean, you have the squad, we have the gang of eight, all these different people, but who would
You
you?
know, I really like the way Anna Paulina Luna and Nancy Mace have been making like serious ripples, you could say. I love that they will stand up and they will speak what they believe in and they won't shut up and they will call it out and they don't care if people get mad at them. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that they will push for what they believe is right for their constituents and not back down. Those are, a couple congresswomen that I hope to be friends with and learn from. So,
It's
my favorite though, Ron Paul.
okay.
Seriously, I love him. I've
He's
I've
the
read a ton of his books and I just really appreciate really how much he loves liberty and how he everything that he stands for comes down to the fact that our rights are God-given. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness does not come from the government. It comes from God. And I love what he has to say and how firm he is on staying true to those principles.
Yeah, I would say that the what I've read and what I've heard you talk about, you would be considered a true conservative. And I don't like
Mhm.
the labels or whatever, but I know that your opponent would not really be what would be considered a true conservative. I've heard in terms of rhino
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
moderate,
Well,
maybe
because
that, but
there's rhinos, and then there's Republicans, and then there's non-MAGA Republicans. I saw a survey with that as an option, and I didn't understand what the hell it meant.
Okay.
Yeah,
They
it was
cannot
very
put me in a box.
well.
They
No,
can
and
try to put me in the box. They can't put me in any box.
Sarah, like you just sound very like you get a good head on your shoulders, kind of a vibe. And I love how when you were talking about people would just come up to you and ask you, well, can you help me with this or can you help me with that? Um, I highly doubt. Did you ever ask them like what party are you with before you help
No.
them? See, yeah.
No, and like we have a homeschool co-op and there's about 1,000 families in membership in our group. We can only host about 50 to 70 families at a time on our farm, but we've got everybody here. I mean, everybody fits in. It's not just Christian conservatives that homeschool anymore. Our I work with anybody who has kids who learn out of the box, which is pretty much everybody. Our homeschool co op is everybody who started homeschooling during COVID and found out that their ADHD kid didn't need medication when they were at home. And so I'm just on a mission to help parents, families, kids. I, everybody believes what they believe for a good reason and I find that I align with Democrats in some ways that I think it's ridiculous that there are human issues that Republicans don't realize actually matter to everyone. For example, small town revitalization, sidewalks, clean air, clean water, clean streets,
Clean water.
multi-generational living. I mean, I lived in Europe where there were no cars in the downtowns, and it was amazing. And why do bicycle paths have to be something that Republicans don't pursue? Isn't health and mental health something we all need to stand up for? So
They got to fix the
just
potholes, Sarah. That's
yeah, we
that's,
gotta
that's way more
fix some
important.
potholes.
Okay, that's
And we need to have town centers that are vibrant, multi-generational, and walkable.
totally,
This
yeah.
is a human issue. This isn't right. This isn't left. This is good.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Brad, you wanted to ask some questions about Ukraine because I saw your ears perk up, or I can't see them through your.
Oh well,
headphones.
yeah. I mean, but by the way, I want to say 2026 so far has been such a weird year. And Sarah, I really appreciate you saying that you would work with Democrats like on things. And
Oh yeah,
I never thought
so many issues are human issues.
Well, but you spoke earlier about Nancy Mace, and like, if I would not have expected ever to be in agreement with her on much anything, but like 2026 so far has been like, I'm agreeing with her on like, or I mean, and I don't know if it's like she's coming more towards a more centrist kind of a way of thinking on certain items, but again, it's like you can't put all of their thoughts into one basket. Like, you can't box you in.
Yeah, there are so many human issues that we should all agree on, and we could all be working on and actually getting something done, like healthy kids. We know that 50% of kids are struggling with mental health, obesity, and chronic illness. This is a human issue. This is right, this is left, this is Democrat, this is Libertarian, this is Republican. We all love our kids and we want our kids to thrive. So how are we going to fix this?
Well, Sarah, I'm sure there's an app for that, right? Like, is that?
Yeah, all we need more is more screen time for kids. Don't let them play
Right?
outside.
Yeah,
right?
don't.
But
Let's standardize them all and keep
Yeah,
them in the
exactly.
house playing video games so they'll be safe. And make sure we give them fast food. Yeah, somebody's going to use this against me, huh? No,
that's how we trick you,
I know.
Sarah. That's
I believe, everybody, right, left, up and down, whatever religion you are, you want your kids to thrive, be healthy, intelligent, high agency kids who are problem solvers, who can think outside the box. And
how do we convince non-parents
everybody
of that? Because I feel like anytime we talk about because like with public schools or like having a well-educated youth is important to a community, I feel like. So why?
Yeah.
But I feel like if people don't have kids, they're not going to be like, oh well, yeah, I support extracurricular things for them.
Guess who's going to be ruling the world when these people without kids are 50, 60, 70 years old? The other people's kids and the kids that grew up in the public school, the homeschool. Like, I want public schools to be absolutely the best they can, because for a lot of people that's default. I want parents who want to oversee their child's education and homeschool, microschool, Christian school, Catholic school, whatever. I want to see them empowered, because we need all kinds of people. We don't need one kind of kid. But I am deeply concerned for public schools because at least 40% of fourth graders can barely read. And I'm a dyslexia specialist, and I know why they can't read. And I have ideas for how to get kids reading. And this is not a left, right, up, down, liberal, conservative, or confused question. We all want our kids to be able to read. And we live in a society that is failing children. They can't read and they're not healthy. So how do we fix this? And one reason I want to be in Congress is to work with RFK to make sure that the things that they're trying to do to help get healthy food in school lunches happens. Gardens in kindergarten. It's
a perfect play on words, really, at that point too. And like it's right up their alley. They're playing in dirt. Like, what kind of what 5-6-year-old kid doesn't love dirt?
Yeah,
or
and
just,
then they just put them inside all day
Yeah.
long, sitting these kids in desks under fluorescent lighting, 30 kids, one adult, and give them drugs if they can't sit still. No, gardens in kindergarten.
Run them, run them, run them. We got to run those kids. Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
I
hey,
was
Spiro in the chat, by the way.
I was 1 year away from the Ritalin because I had the ADHD. I know Brad's probably surprised about that, but yeah, I was a handful. I have to apologize to most of the people that I knew when I was younger. But I think one of the things that I noticed, Sarah, I wanted to get involved. I wanted to find out the education system. So 3-4 years ago, I signed up to be a substitute teacher, and I went to different schools around here, and there was just really no consistency whatsoever across the board. None. I mean, every school was different, which is okay, except some of those schools the kids were just undisciplined, had zero respect.
They were in charge.
They were bored. I'm telling
they
you,
were
when
bored.
kids are bored because school is bored, kids get crazy because kids want to make fun. They want to have fun.
Yeah.
It's the nature of kids.
Yeah. So
it's not their fault.
It's not their fault. And I don't think it's the teacher's fault, but I think some of these administrators have forgotten what it's like to be a kid. I don't know. Maybe they were the ones that were so smart in school but honestly, I wanted to get out there and get to the recess because, in the second grade, the girls chased me in the second grade. We want to get out to that recess.
Yeah.
I think some administrators forget how to be teachers, though, or like how hard it is to be a teacher. Sorry. I think we have too many administrators.
Yeah, I mean, teachers have the most important job in the world, I think. Moms, teachers, police, most important job in the world for society.
Well, and I just feel like some schools have so many like middle kind of principals or superintendent, people in the middle there that just need to go back down to
they're just making it expensive.
Just being like another person to have available for the students. I mean, again, that is what the whole thing's about, is for the good of them, not their salaries or whatever.
I heard something really interesting that happened during COVID. During COVID, a bunch of teachers decided that they were going to make themselves available to be tutors to kids in their neighborhoods. And so all these teachers, I was just at a conference of teachers who did this. All these teachers offered tutoring services in their neighborhoods, and they would offer it at the library or at a church or at someone's home. And they found out that instead of making $40,000, $50,000 a year, suddenly tutoring the neighborhood kids, they were making like $100,000 a year. A bunch of these teachers never went back and started micro schools, and a bunch of the kids never went back because they didn't need ADHD drugs to learn when they were in these neighborhood, basically going back to the one-room schoolhouse concept.
Small
really
classrooms.
Interesting. You're taking all the middlemen and all the administration out, and you have the parents paying the teachers directly to teach the kids. And I think we can learn something from that.
Yeah, I think we could get rid of property taxes.
No, because that's what I mean. Like, I think with administrators in the classrooms, that would automatically make classrooms smaller, or I mean, like adult per student ratio. Because I really think that is the biggest hurdle to overcome. If you, like you said, Sarah, 30 kids, one adult, some kids are just, it would take a lot of skill and discipline to make sure all 30 got through every year.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough. Teachers are working hard and they're underpaid. They don't have the resources they need. And then there's all these other people who are the administrators who are actually making the money, and they're not working directly with the kids. And education's one of the hugest expenses in our state and country, and our kids can't read.
Right.
And administrators have their role too. I don't want to get on that platform or eliminate.
They do have
abolish
role.
administrators, abolish
they have
ICE.
A role. They do have a role, but the teachers aren't getting what they need to
and
conquer
I think
the problems in the classroom.
And I think we've let too many social issues creep into our classrooms. I get it. You're supposed to have social studies, but when you get to the point where you got attorneys going to sue you over. Yeah, I heard you too. They're going to sue you over you didn't let a kid go out for a march or some policy they're getting sued on. So the going's gotten a little tougher with litigation and safety. And these schools, I'm a mason contractor, I've worked on schools. They have high cost in construction that I always wonder, do we really need to have this kind of expensiveness on there? And I do a lot of value engineering on these projects where I use a product that will look the same but be less expensive but still do the same thing. So I just think it's a system that's gotten, I would say slowly over the last, since I went to school, 45 years, 50 years, has slowly gotten to the point where it's just really dysfunctional. And I don't know if it's even to the point where we can remodel it, so to speak. It's almost like a tear down and rebuild. But who's got the
I mean, I think it's really just like the changes in the times though too, of going digital, going to tablets all the time. It's a different arena now.
I think that the key is customization for the children instead of standardization. Because if you can customize your Facebook profile, can't you get your education customized? And one thing that I do is I've published 360 educational books so kids can major in the thing they're passionate about. So my school books are being used all over the state, all over the country, all over the world, so that if a kid is crazy about dinosaurs, they can study dinosaurs and learn math, English, science, social studies, geography, and history while studying dinosaurs. And I think that there really are ways that we can make school fun for kids. We can customize it. And I have ideas for improving schooling in public schools that aren't even expensive. It's helping to give kids the opportunity to study things they love by empowering school librarians and school libraries so that some of the subjects can be organized by librarians. So say you have 4 subjects where all the kids learn the same things because they're core academics. But then when it comes to science, send the kids to the school library and say, what are you interested in? And the librarian will help them pick out books that are science books, but based on what they love. So the kids have some things they really love learning. When kids are studying a topic they enjoy, it's easy to learn and the ADHD goes away. Also, moving towards tablets and digital, we know screens aren't good for kids. I mean, before long, we're going to be replacing teachers with robots, and AI is going to be organizing everything, and things are going to change. But right now, schools are so far behind that we need kids to specialize. We need them to be creative. We need them to have skills, and we need them to be high agency individuals who can think outside the box. And right now, standardization is just trying to make them all the same.
All right, everybody needs to go out and vote for Sarah. That was amazing.
Oh wait, you're getting endorsed by a Democrat. This is probably
actually that's a kiss of death. I'm really sorry, Sarah. Like, don't
let it. We'll clip that for sure.
You're not the first Democrat that says I make sense. Actually, I had a meet the candidates at our homeschool co-op not too long ago, and I invited everybody who was on the ballot, and we had a homeschool festival with about 75 families, and I had all the candidates come and set up a table and talk to the families because homeschoolers vote and they vote in the primaries too. And so I invited all the candidates and I gave everybody the opportunity to come up and speak and talk to the kids. We had Democrats that were handing out Love is Love bracelets to our homeschool families, and our families are like, oh, what's going on here? And I'm like, hey, you guys need to hear all the voices, ask questions.
Oh my God.
Everybody.
Sorry.
So everybody, all the candidates, I gave them a tour of our education center, which is a 22-acre biodynamic farm with a big Lego city and a huge lending library. And we have like 40 stations where kids can build, play, explore, learn, and do super practical fun stuff like science experiments or making pasta. And everybody was like wiping away tears. I don't care if you were a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, an Independent. So many of them said, this is what childhood should be. What do we need to do to change education so every kid can have this opportunity? I had Democrats wiping away tears and being like, if my ADHD child would have had this opportunity, they would have had so much affirmation in who they are. And then the Republicans are like, how can we do a pilot program with public education to make it more like this? Because you know what? Kids are kids. And this is not a right, left, up, or down conversation. This is a very human conversation. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what somebody believes about those really, right, left issues. Everybody wants
This
their
a
kids
lot
to
of the
be smart and
social issues,
healthy.
a lot of the now I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and move you up here because folks probably wondered, well, what she's talking about all this stuff, but you actually helped write a book.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put you out here because otherwise you'd be behind your book. But go ahead and explain this. And David Lance, I know David Lance from
Yeah.
before. Oh, yeah, lean over the other way.
Here we
No,
go.
no, the other way. Go the other way. There you go. Yeah, so we can see you. There you go. No, a
Okay.
little bit more.
Wait, you want me over here?
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, we
Okay.
can see you. All right. So go ahead. This is a book that you wrote. And when did you or helped write with David Lance? How long ago did this get written?
Okay, so David, Lance, and I met about 3 years ago when a friend of mine, another homeschool mom, was running for governor, and she asked me to help her out. And I'm like, okay, sure, let's see what I can do. And I helped her out as much as I could. It was a tough race. There were a lot of people running for governor. She got on the ballot. I was so proud of her. But during that time, I got to know David Lance, and he knew that I had a homeschool publishing company, which has become so much more than a homeschool publishing company. My books are being used in school choice programs, charter schools, all kinds of stuff. And he's like, have you ever thought about writing a book that teaches teenagers how to get involved in politics? And I said, I've always wanted to do that. Sounds like a great idea. Let's write it together. So we worked on this for about a year with the idea of creating a handbook that would help teenagers to learn everything they need to know to get involved in a political race. Now, the funny thing about it, which I didn't even think of at the time, is that David Lance was a campaign manager for someone running for Congress in District 6, I think back in 2012. So he had the idea to create a template for running for office based on running for US Congress in District 6. So over the past year, I was working with him on this book and editing it and kind of getting in an education on what it takes to run for Congress. I had not thought about running for Congress at that time, but I began to become curious and also understanding the impact that a congressperson could make if they have courage to stand up to the lobbyists, if they have courage to represent the people. And that really prompted me to consider going for this race.
I think explaining lobbyists to teenagers or students in general, it's a very difficult concept to admit to, because really as adults we're saying that, yeah, this happens, right?
Yeah, I have more teenagers than just about anybody, and I don't even know how many teenagers I have. I have 15 kids between the ages of 11 and 27, and they keep having birthdays. But
They'll have those.
so lobbyists will knock on walk into the office of the congressman offering campaign cash and threatening to primary you if you don't do what they want, and will give you campaign cash if you do what they want. So congressmen will pretend to create bills and bring them to the floor on behalf of their constituents, but deep in their heart, they know they're not really going to make an effort to get that bill through, because the lobbyists say, well, if you do, then we're not going to support you. So my plan is to have a little sign on my door that says, if you are not a Hoosier, you can go away. Because
Yeah.
I
Who's
represent
your?
I
The
represent Indiana, and all day long, congressmen and congresswomen are being plagued by lobbyists who are trying to manipulate legislation by showing their power and their money. And if you want to come into my office, you need to have representation. You need to have a Hoosier, preferably from District 6, by your side if you would like to talk to me.
Yeah.
Sarah, how did you feel about redistricting then, by the way? Because I feel like we got a big outside push from people like Benny Johnson or Scott Pressler and all those kind of people. How did you feel about that then?
So, at the time when it was all coming up, I was more focused on helping my adopted kids to launch. I have 5 adopted kids. In the past 4 years, we actually launched like 6 kids in the past 4 years. And so I heard a lot about the redistricting, and I was like, well, I wonder if they're going to make that happen. And I have friends who are all for it, and then I have friends who question it. And I actually haven't finalized my own opinion on it because people have really good reasons for it and against it. And I'm still learning on that one.
Yeah, well, you'd be glad you didn't have to do it. So I actually had a press pass for that week of fun down at the State House, and I got to see the sausage being made. And you can watch it on TV, you can see it outside the gallery, but being on the floor like that was very interesting. Some of those guys were just anguishing over this, and I know and all the lobbyists are out there swarming around in the thing, and I know which ones they are. I mean, it's just a surreal type of a world, and I can imagine it's probably in DC. It's probably that on steroids with all of the things going on. So we're talking about campaign cash and all that. Your opponent has more money than God, and I
got God.
Yeah, well, there you go. So. But David took down Goliath with just with a rock. You know what I'm saying? So it's possible. But I guess getting your message out. So I ran against Andre Carson last year, and I got no. The APEC people didn't even give me any money. That's how much they thought I would lose. But you'd have to have your message out there. And I know that you talked about digitally, you're going to do the digital thing. And I think that is a good way to get it out there. But a lot of folks just watch the evening news type of stuff, and they're not going to be informed as much. They're just going to either vote R, D. So what's your plan?
So I have an Instagram reel that has about 120 million views.
Okay, at the start.
I'm pretty good at social media. I actually have 6 children who are influencers who are reaching millions of people every week. When I say social media, we haven't really launched what we're going to be doing with this campaign, but it's going to be more fun than you ever had in politics before. Okay, so I actually was the anthem singer at President Trump's last rally in North Carolina before his nomination. This is a fun fact. And they introduced me as the founder of the fun schooling movement. And I actually messed up the words. I said, I don't know what I said, but so I'm singing the national anthem, and I know it well because I'm raised by a military dad. And I'm looking out into the crowd, and I see my son, who I had no idea was going to come to the show, holding up my 5-month-old grandson. And I spot him in the crowd. And instead of ramparts, I think I said apples. Well, I got millions of views on that video too. And I actually got a chance to meet the president, take pictures with him, talk to him a little bit about Ukraine and adoption real briefly. And I'm sure he probably doesn't remember me, but not very many people have 15 kids. So I am pretty memorable. So I heard that there's a lot of pressure on him to endorse Shreve. And
We'll
You
see
know,
about that. You
we'll
have a
see about
small
that.
army. You basically
I
have
do.
raised your own campaign staff to go
Yeah,
out. And you know that, and you know, I say that tongue in cheek, but it's sort of true because
I do. I've
you know
got 15 kids, and all my kids have thousands and thousands of followers. I didn't even let my kids have phones until they were 17, and by the time they're 18, they're all like reaching millions of people on social media. Check out Anna Miriam Brown. That's one of my daughters who has almost 1 million followers. She does webtoons, pretty cool. Um, and
what was the middle name? What was the middle name?
Miriam, Anna Miriam Brown.
That's Miriam Brown.
Yep, Anna Miriam Brown, almost 1 million followers, doing webtoons about the Bible. And just I my kids are great at social media, and I have a really young campaign team. I mean, when it was actually pretty funny. I went to the Congress of Counties right after I put my name on the ballot, and nobody knew I was running.
Oh yeah, tell this story. This is good.
Oh, this was really funny. Okay, so I tried to say hi to Jefferson Shreve twice, and he walked off, and I either he didn't notice me or he did, I don't know, but I went to his cocktail party lounge and waited for him to say hi, and I said hello, and I told him it's going to be a whole lot more fun now that I'm in the race. I mean, it's no fun when nobody else is on the ballot. But I had about 40 conversations with people from the GOP. And amazingly, a lot of people remembered me from when I was involved in politics in Hancock County, because I was always the family farm activist. I was the one that was trying to get them to not chop down the trees on Main Street. I was saving the goats and the chickens and advocating for 4-H kids to be allowed to have 4-H animals no matter where they live. I was a crazy goat lady. I took the town to court because they were trying to do something that they shouldn't have been doing, government overreach. So when I was at Congress of Counties, people were surprised to see me again, because last I they heard I moved to Ukraine. They didn't know what happened to me. They saw me at Congress of Counties like, Sarah, what are you doing back? And I'm like, well, I had decided with my husband that when my youngest daughter is 10 years old, I'm going to get back into politics and get my name on a ballot. And then they're like, that's great. We need young people like you getting involved in the Republican Party. You're such a breath of fresh air. I remember when you were fighting for the family farms and Piney Acres and Apple Family Farm. And they remember how I made a difference on Main Street. And so we have a little chit chat. And then they say, so you got on the ballot. What are you running for? They think I'm running for school board or something. So then I say, U.S. Congress, District 6. I had this conversation literally 40 times. I say that, and then first of all, they turn white. Doesn't matter what color they are. Actually, I think almost everybody at that meeting was white, but they all turn whiter than white. And then they're like, you've got a lot of courage, girl, running against Jefferson Shreve. I hope you got a lot of money. And I'm like, no, but I've got the grassroots sprouting under my feet. And then they would stop and they'd go, good for you. And then here's what they said to me. They're like, he really threw the pro-life movement under the bus when he was running for mayor. Someone else said, well, you know, maybe you got a chance. He's got an F rating with the NRA. And then a lot of people told me a lot of other things I didn't know and I didn't want to know, and I'm not going to repeat. Um, but but a lot of people let me know that he really bought the seed. It cost him like $300 a pop, and put $5 million or so into the campaign. And I had never seen a yard sign in anybody's yard. You saw Jameson Carrier's name all over the place, Speedy, John Jacobs, all over the place. When he won, I was shocked and disappointed, and but it makes sense because three really good guys that I really liked split the vote. He lost 72% of the vote, and everybody knew who he was. And so when I saw that nobody was on the ballot to run against him, I'm like, I don't want somebody who doesn't represent people like me and most of District 6 to be unopposed. And I just thought, Indiana deserves a choice. And if nobody else is going to do it, I just wrote the book on how to run for Congress in District 6. Why not?
Run with. So hey, what that's sort of how I got into politics. I think you're definitely going to be more successful, but I kid the Republican Party. They say it's a big tent, and I say there's no door on it. So, or it's a grassroots effort, or it's a grassroots organization, but they got no roots.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people. I mean, I have a lot of friends who got involved for really, really good reasons. They want to make a difference. They want to fight for what's right. But once you get into that, once you get elected and you get into the legislature or Congress, you're serving, there is so much pressure and so much temptation to give in to the pull of money and power that a lot of people who are really, really good people who went in for good reasons, who had a dream, they've been squashed because they don't have enough courage to stand up. I have 15 children and 5 grandchildren, and that there is no amount of money you could use to tempt me to do something in Congress that would make America worse for my kids.
Yeah, that's great. So, Lucy, you jumped in here, and Brad's on his pee break from drinking the Bud Light. So this is a normal thing. Around 45 minutes, Brad has to go.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't leave forever. Sarah, it's just such a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm so excited.
So nice to meet you, Lucy.
Yep. The first time we actually met was when you were in Hancock County and I was in Hamilton County. So since then, I've gone on to.
So you remember me from Hancock County?
Yep, I remember you from the farmers markets and from the trees and letting kids have goats. And everybody was just completely nuts over the idea of having your 4-H animals even in the city. So I'm down now in Washington County, where Salem is the capital. And just today, as I was buying chicken feed at the Tractor Supply, I'm talking to this gal who's a transplant from California. And she's like, I've got a 1/4 acre and I'm here in the city and I can't have chickens. And I'm like, well, I did get appointed to the Plan Commission Board, which handles the outlying county and the agricultural areas. So it looks like I'm going to have to go, whip up on some Salem people too. So you can have chickens in Salem. I mean, Indianapolis gets 6. So I signed up to be on your prayer team. Because I just love everything that you're doing.
Glad.
I mean,
thank you.
Kids, I've got 10. Usually I'm the jaw dropper in the room.
And
like
you have 10 babies?
Yeah. That go from, we're homeschoolers. 10, that
wasn't enough.
Yeah, exactly. I just
so Brad's shaking his head. There's on the left side of your screen here, we have 25 kids with just 2 females involved. I mean, that's like crazy. Now I have
What's up
4
with you
kids.
2 slackers?
I know.
I have 4 kids. I have 4 kids.
I got 2, but
that's 9 grandkids,
not.
and that's you don't all that good stuff. But I do have a third of my grandkids are homeschooled, and the other third are go to public schools. And I'm not going to tell you which ones I think are smarter, but I think you already know.
Well, the ones that are homeschooled get a one-on-one education that's customized just for them, and that's such a benefit.
Well,
it's a totally different beast.
Their mom was a elementary teacher in real world, so they're funny. And if you ever want to look at my TikTok, one of them loves to mess with my hair, so they basically put hair clips in my eyebrows and made me look like a Oompa Loompa. It was, but anyway, they're the kids. And one of the things we didn't touch on was we were able to get around some Purdue Polytechnical kids. They were freshmen and they were in the old Broad Ripple High School here, and they were sent out into the community to do a project. So we had 2 of the groups come to our art center to see what it's like to start in an underserved neighborhood. And I was so impressed with those kids. They got all of them. They got into their job. They really were going on it. And I'm like, man, this is really some cool stuff. Now, this has been 6 or 7 years ago. I wonder where those kids are now. But I thought, wow, these kids are getting a real education. They had to go present their stuff. They had to do a lot of things to it. And the teachers seemed to enjoy it. Everybody enjoyed it. So I do think I really like your homeschool technique on this stuff. And I don't know where education is going. You see the fight with public education and all this, but Lord have mercy on us. We need to do something. I
Well,
mean,
the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I have so many ideas for how to improve the public schools and to how to empower parents who want to take on their kids' education. But we have to be honest with ourselves. Public school is the default for most kids, and we have to make it awesome. It should not be the default that kids have to take medicine to sit still in school.
yeah, I'll tell you what, let me be in charge. I just want to be in charge of one school. It would be so much fun because a lot of people know me as the biggest kid. And you know the difference between disciplining adults and children. The biggest difference is their size.
Yeah.
That's,
I was going to say,
that's it.
kids, listen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too. There's a lot of things. That
Sarah,
happen.
can I ask you like kind of a harder question then? I guess just I don't care for Linda McMahon at all, and I don't agree with most things that have happened so far. How would you say you were elected? How would you work with the Department of Education, or would because that would be your avenue at that
So
point, right?
one of the biggest problems is kids are struggling to learn to read. This is a foundational problem. If you can't read, you have so many limitations. And I have solved this problem for tens of thousands of kids. And it just breaks my heart that kids are still struggling. I failed third grade.
I failed
And
second grade.
and because I couldn't read.
Well,
And
and failed is
I couldn't write.
it's
and the thing is
you learn as you
kids
learn.
don't fail. Kids, it's not the kid that failed, the system failed. But they didn't know I was dyslexic because back in the 80s, they think that if you have a learning challenge, you are not intelligent. But my third grade report card said Sarah is an intelligent child, but she's stubborn, lazy, and she's a daydreamer. If she would just stop daydreaming,
She's a silly heart.
she could get good grades. And I had an A in art on that report card, everything else D's and F's. And I told my teacher, I don't care. I'm going to be an artist and a mommy when I grow up. I don't need to learn to read. So I failed third grade. But then my mom did some super creative stuff to teach me how to read that summer. So when I had to repeat third grade again, I was reading. But then I blamed the public school for my failures. And then fast forward a few years, and I have a daughter who is almost 9 years old and cannot read the word dad. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? I thought that school was the problem, and I have a kid that I've tried everything, expensive stuff, all different curriculums, private tutors. This kid cannot read. And doing flashcards with her, and she's like, Mom, there is no difference between the lowercase b, d, p, and q. Just like a chair is a chair, no matter how you turn it. She's like, I'm never going to learn how to read. And she said, it doesn't matter because when I grow up, I'm going to be an artist and a mommy. Why do I have to learn to read? So I said, Anna, God gave us the Bible, and he's going to give you the power to read it. We're going to figure this out. Well, the next morning I woke up with this crazy idea to use art to trick her into reading after I had learned that she was dyslexic, and I had done a lot of research. And so I came up with this crazy idea to sneak symbols and then letters and then words into poetry into these art games. And within 3 months, she was reading comic books, and then she was reading the Boxcar Children. Began to experiment with a bunch of kids, and such a simple method. I have gotten tens of thousands of kids reading, 98% success, and my therapy only costs like less than $200. Where the therapy that most people are using for reading problems takes about 5 years and thousands of dollars a year. With a private teacher, super intensive. So one of the first things I do with the education system is teach them how to teach kids to read.
Yeah.
It's not hard. And
Is it something you think teachers haven't like evolved with over time then? Or
here's the thing. It's called people are making so much money off of illiteracy that they don't want the kids to quickly learn how to read. Now, not everybody. The teachers want the kids to read. A lot of people want the kids to read. But I really think I've learned that the methods that are being used are intentionally slow and expensive because you follow the incentive.
Mm.
You know, follow the incentives. Healthy people don't make money for the pharmaceutical industry, okay? Smart, intelligent kids that learn quickly are not making money for the industry that makes money off of kids that need special services.
Our Eli
And
Lilly alarm is going to start going off pretty soon because we're in Indiana, right?
yeah, they're not gonna, well,
No, I'm just kidding. I thought, yeah.
I'm
You know,
Hey, what do
sorry.
you
Sarah,
think about?
I want kids to be smart and healthy and have the resources
Yeah.
they need. I don't care who loses money. I want the kids to be healthy. I want the kids to be strong. I don't want the kids to have trauma, and I want them to be able to read. And it's not that hard. I've done it 15 times.
So
These
what
are
do you
And
bold concepts. Yeah.
what do you
Right.
think
Like,
about reading boot camp? Kathleen Alke is out in I can't remember the town that she's in, but she's does a fabulous job with reading it's like a phonics type of thing for the kids, and it is an activity. And when you mentioned how you tricked your daughter into reading, I think that's reading boot camp is a little bit like that, where
yeah, you
they
make it
tie it to this,
fun. You
make
make
it
it
fun.
fun, and kids are motivated. The key with dyslexic kids is you have to activate creativity, imagination, logic, and problem solving. And then you reintroduce literacy starting with symbols, and the reading confusion goes away. And so, if you can turn reading into a game and you can make it fun, and then you can use the kids' amazing logic abilities, they are on track to reading. And I created a method that works in about 3 months to get kids reading. And I don't care if I make another cent off of it, actually, because I I live a very beautiful life on a wonderful farm in a cozy house with all my horses and my children and my garden and my roses. I couldn't ask for more. And and I would do whatever it takes to help kids get the resources they need to learn to read.
Yep.
And pretty
Yep. So
simple.
I feel like we're kindred spirits because I took the second grade twice and I had the ADHD, and my mom used clustering for me to remember things because I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
I couldn't. And
smart
then
mom.
also she would time me to go anywhere. And that's how I became a track star at Ball State, because my mom timed me to go get the mail, to go take the trash out. I'll time you. And I would always fall for it. And I would go
Oh
and then would
yeah.
burn that energy. So I think the key is to have a mom like you, honestly, or have a mom like Lucy, or even a dad like Brad.
hey,
Because I
my
know
mom
Brad.
Yeah.
taught, I think the moms, and we need to be, obviously Sarah already does this, supporting other women and helping them like you've done through your homeschooling efforts. Because it is the hand that rocks the cradle. My mom taught me to read before I went to kindergarten. And the things that she didn't have me running back and forth, John. But when we went to the grocery store back in the 70s, they didn't have like the price per ounce to figure out what the best deal was. So my mom would pretend, or maybe she didn't, maybe she really couldn't do math. And she was, telling me to figure out, which laundry detergent was the best deal. And that helped when I became a mortgage broker because I can do stuff in my head.
Yeah,
So
you
how
Yeah.
do
don't
we
be doing
oh
math. You
support
yeah,
don't
I
need
lie
that.
to
we
my
need a
kids all the
Yeah.
mom's
time
boot
about
camp?
stuff. I'm like, I can't read that sign, guys. What does that one say? You just
You
lie
know
to
what?
them. You
Yeah.
lie to them about enough other stuff.
Yeah. You know what my mom did? Here's what my mom did that was brilliant, that I just thought of when you were telling me what your mom did. When we would go to the grocery store, she would flip the package over and she'd say, Sarah, if you can't read this in plain English, I'm like 14 years old. If you can't read the label in plain English, it's not real food. And I remember, we got married and I started doing all the shopping, I would flip over the label. And if it had all these weird chemicals listed on the back, I would say, not real food. And my shopping cart is filled with probably 90% single ingredient items because my mom taught me to cook from scratch, which is why my kids don't need medicine. And we
Right.
grow, I mean, we raise beef, lamb, eggs, turkey, chicken,
Oh,
grapes, fruit, vegetables on our own 22-acre farm.
Brad will
And
be
we
right
run a
over.
CSA. All the neighbors who grow stuff without GMOs bring all their produce to my house. And then all the neighbors who don't grow stuff come over and get all the produce that all the growers create. And we just have a rule: no bad chemicals, no GMOs, no Roundup. And we are a community of hundreds of healthy families that know that real food works. So I was so excited when RFK flipped the food pyramid. And my dream is to make the landscape of America look like the food pyramid instead of just all these monocrops.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
Sarah,
we
did
like
you
to
hear what just happened?
hear.
No, don't
Tell
stop,
me
John.
about it.
Did you hear what just happened with RFK? That we have an activist judge out of Boston that has put a stay on everything that RFK has done so far. That has put a stay on the 13 appointments that he had to the ACIP. That's put a stay on, the changes to the vaccination schedule. I was lucky to have a crazy mom who actually started a multi-level marketing company when I was a teenager. And, it lasted about 3 years, about as long as you can get one of those things to last. But her business partner had her PhD in clinical nutrition and gave me the book Nation, The Silent Killer, when I was only 13. So I'm full that, none of my 10 kids have had a single poke. I have 3 grandkids completely poke free, born at home. But the only reason that happened for me was because women were talking to women. And
Yeah.
so, I was being mentored by somebody that, really had my best interest at heart.
Yeah, similar thing happened with me when I was 14 and started homeschooling. My parents couldn't afford curriculum, and I said, "Can't I just go to the library and get books?"
God.
And so I went to the library and I told the librarian that I'm homeschooling and I need everything for 7th grade. And she said, "Well, what are you interested in?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've never been asked." And she took me to the oversized book section of the library and said, "Look at all this and let me know what you're interested in." Well, one book was a book on nutrition, another one was on childhood brain development. And I became fascinated with health, brain development, and nutrition. And so when I started having kids, I was having home births, and I didn't vaccinate my kids. But when we moved to Ukraine, there was a lot of encouragement to get a few vaccinations. And I had heard that they used aborted fetal tissue in certain vaccinations. And so I said, well, I don't want the MMR vaccine because the moms were saying that they used aborted fetal tissue, and I'm like, I don't want that in my kids. And there was also mercury, and people were starting to talk about the autism thing. And so I thought, well, the safest way to do it is to get these 3 vaccines separate. I gave my kids like 3 or 4 different vaccines, 3 weeks apart, 1 dose at a time. Well, when they got the measles vaccine, all of them that week were covered in blisters and a super high fever. And I called the doctor and I said, "I think my kids are having a reaction to the vaccine." And he's like, "Well, remember that paper I gave you that to go with the vaccine? Did you look at it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it had a lot of side effects and death warnings on it." And he's like, "Well, getting measles is actually a side effect of the measles vaccine. It's 1 in a million." And I'm like, "Oh
But
no,
it's
my
nearly
kids got."
100% in your house, so it's clearly not 1 in a
And
million. That was a
all my
lie.
kids ended up, my babies were covered in blisters, never got another vaccine after that. And then 2 of my kids ended up getting, my babies, my 6-week-old and my 2-year-old, when we moved to Ukraine, ended up getting whooping cough, 100 days of coughing up mucus, staying up all night. But those kids have hardly ever been sick again ever since getting over the whooping cough. And my kids, they're just not sick. They're so healthy.
Yeah,
I saw a bunch
my
of them running around
youngest
that day. So,
is
all right.
gonna
Well,
be
Lucy, I know you
13.
got on late.
Yeah.
We're going to keep the show to an hour. So,
John, you're no fun anymore.
I know it. I know it. My eyebrows are
Oh,
weighing down my fun.
we didn't even get to talk about Iran and Ukraine.
I know. Well, we'll have to have
Or
you
Cash
on.
Maybe
Patel's
next
new
time.
shoes. I mean, I heard he came out with new shoes that he was designing.
You should definitely. I don't know if Shreve has been to anything. If he's been to Ukraine, perhaps because he's so incredibly rich. But you should
It's the
definitely.
best vacation destination, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
Well,
Sarah, thank you
one of
so
my
much. Like this, I mean, you're insanely awesome, and everybody should vote for you. So
yeah, they
Oh,
really should. We should all be
you
walking for
just
you.
warmed my heart. Well, Shreve's friends think I'm not even a fly on the wall of a threat.
Well,
So
Shreve got on our show and
Yeah,
messed
that's
up
right.
big time. He
we should
messed up
have him
big
back
time.
on then. Like I wasn't
I
on
would
it.
love
I've
to.
got the
I
invitation.
love talking with you guys.
I
I
got
want
that.
to talk about the hard stuff. Come on, let's talk about the hard stuff. We just talked about the easy stuff this time.
Look at her. She just like, bring it on. Come on, let's
Well,
go.
we
Come
should
on.
definitely be talking about Ukraine. And,
She
you know,
said
I
so
don't
many
know
good
that
things about
Shreve has,
libraries.
yeah,
You know, I adopted 5 children from Ukraine whose mother
Exactly.
Yeah.
chose life but couldn't raise them. And I have a daughter-in-law from Ukraine, lived 3 years in Ukraine, had to evacuate the house when a mafia boss came and said he was going to slit the throats of my kids because they have Roma descent. You know, I
Was that from
I'm
the
not scared
vaccines?
of anything anymore. What's that?
No, I'm kidding. Like, what was Roma descent?
They're gypsy. It's just that's just not the appropriate name, but Roma
It's like
gypsy
ethnic.
kids.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I adopted 5 Roma gypsy kids because they were getting beat up on and abused in the orphanage. I couldn't stand the thought of leaving them there. I was volunteering 3 or 4 days a week in the orphanage doing art and music therapy with all the kids. There's a sibling group of 5 kids, and they were getting picked on so bad because they were Roma, and we just couldn't leave them there. And I couldn't. When I told my husband I want to adopt these 5 kids, he's like, "You are crazy." And they were 4 to 14 at the time. By the time we finished the adoption, they were 6 to 16. Brought them home. They didn't speak English. They'd had all the bad things that can happen to kids happen to these kids. And we moved to Hawaii so that we could just bond as a family and spend time on the beach. Then COVID hit. And in Hawaii, there's a rule that you can't have more than 10 people in one building at the same time, something like that. We had like family of 18. It was so funny. My son was one of the first people to get COVID in Kauai, Hawaii. Just another crazy story. You know, in Hawaii, they were sending the military to check on you to make sure you were in quarantine. We had the military coming to our house like 2 or 3 times a week to check our quarantine. And they knew we had 6 absolutely beautiful teenage daughters. So I'm wondering, why were they visiting?
I was gonna say we didn't get that kind
Yeah,
of treatment. I don't
what's up
think,
with that?
in
It's
mainland
very
Indiana.
socialist over there. I mean, I've lived in Russia, Ukraine, Hungary right after the fall of communism, Portugal, Italy, Croatia. I was in Yugoslavia during the war in the 90s, almost got stuck in the country after the ceasefire ended when America was bombing Yugoslavia. I have seen a lot, and I would love to talk about
John, can we
Iran
please
and
have Sarah
Ukraine
on
and
Hey,
again?
Gaza.
you could have
I'm
Sarah
not
on.
afraid.
Brad, you got
to
your
talk
own
about the
show.
hard stuff.
You got your own show. You could have her on at the
You're
Rinse
such a
and-
better driver of the boat. You know, that's
You guys are
Well-
all great. Well, sorry to keep you past your hour. I know it's everybody's bedtime, and I would love to talk again.
Yes,
Y'all
we
are so much fun. We're missing somebody though, aren't we?
Yeah,
Missing somebody.
Tiffany's running for the Indiana Senate up in District 31, I believe. So she's been she's got her hands full.
Now,
So
who's the libertarian? I heard there's a Republican,
Lucy.
Democrat.
Lucy.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
the
the lib-
libertarian.
I'm the libertarian.
Okay.
I ran for United States Senate in 2016 and 2018. So you can go,
Okay.
Google me, and you can see me absolutely
Yeah.
mop the floor with Mike Braun and
Yeah.
Todd Young
Awesome.
and
Yes,
former Governor
she
Vaughn.
did it. That was my
How-
first introduction
cool.
to Lucy, was her beating the shoes off of Todd Young. So,
I mean, all you have is
Well-
liberty and personal freedom to offer, and you're not trading on fraud or force. It's
Yeah.
very easy to create a conflict between the people that believe that they can run their lives better than you.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty easy to be a libertarian. But I didn't want to
Yeah,
interrupt
it
you at
is
all
easy
today
to-
because, like,
yeah.
everything that you say,
So-
I agree with. I mean, I'm like,
Well, I
almost like
think
you're
we're all
libertarian.
libertarian at heart because this nation was founded on the belief that we have the God-given right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and our rights do not come from the government.
right. Exactly. Well, and as I said earlier, you've had enough life experience to be 90 and you're only half of that. So, that's what ADHD and all that
I
does for
know.
you. You can
ADHD
live the life
is a
of 3 people.
superpower.
Yeah,
You know,
it is.
people with
One-
ADHD think 5,000 times faster than normal humans.
Yeah, I trust me, it's my busy mind.
It's going
a
back to
busy
that
mind.
original thought, though, is always like my issue. Is like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm great, but then what were we talking about? Like,
I
Well,
think
My superpower is I always want to get down to the very, very root of the problem. And I think that's going to be a superpower when I'm serving in Congress. And I'm not afraid of anybody. I had the mafia boss try to slit the throats of my kids. You know, this is America. Democrat, Republican, right, left. You know what? We all love our kids and we all want the best future for them.
Yeah.
And that's something we can agree on.
So
Well said.
before we go, I just want to put a plug for the I help out with the adults, Hoosiers adults on the spectrum. You know, they are functioning,
Mhm.
and I just sort of ran into this to Isaac. He's the leader of the group, and so we're going to be at Bub's Burgers up in Zionsville, and anyone's welcome that's on this. You're welcome if you're not on the spectrum.
Uh-huh.
It is a very it could be a reality show. Let's just put it that we have.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have all of the spectrum involved. So
We got a
we
lot
meet,
of people in our family on the spectrum. My uncle, my mom, my grandfather, and they're all inventors.
it's Beautiful Mind. If you want to watch the movie Beautiful Mind, it gives you an idea of
Yeah.
of
Temple
the
Grandin, too. Have you seen that?
Which
Great
one?
movie. Temple Grandin.
Oh, well, I gotta write that one down too.
Genius, autistic mind. Just love that movie. Love that woman.
Temple what?
Temple Grandin.
Okay. Yeah, so that's great. Well, I knew you'd be good to have on the show, and we will have you back. We will have you
I
back.
would love to be back.
And
It would be so much fun.
I'll have Brad
You guys are great.
write your things. So let's see. I'm going to do the quick one. Stick on the line afterwards. Don't go away. I always forget to tell. So we have a little wind down at the end of the show here. So I'm going to play our new ending. Oh, by the way, I have a 8 terabyte hard drive that crashed in Florida, but miraculously it got back in Indiana. It decided to work. So I didn't lose all. I have like 3 terabytes of stuff on here. It's all here. So that's good. So anyway, hey, tune in next week. We're going to have Randy Howard on. He's running for sheriff out in Henry County. And there's 6 people running for this deal.
Wow.
And it'll be, I just saw him post something on the internet or on the Facebook saying how he's going to set the record straight. So it's getting a little gnarly out there in Henry County. So we'll have him on next week. And then obviously we've asked Jefferson to come on. We'll see if he's brave enough to come on again.
Let's have him and me on the same episode. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Jefferson, if you're watching this, let's be on this show together. It would be a blast. I would love to have that conversation in public.
I can tell you what, mafia bosses beware. This one's a wild one here. So, all right. Well, hey, folks, thanks for tuning in tonight. Hey, if you're in the 6th district, which I'm only 2 blocks north of the 6th district here, I can see Russia from my house. I mean, the 6th district from my house. So get out and get to know the candidates. Don't just, take our word for it. Don't take Brad's word for it, for sure.
Yeah.
But,
visit
get to know these
Vote
candidates.
Sarah Brown.
Yeah,
VoteSarahBrown.com and learn more about me.
Yep. You can get on the prayer thing. Tons to do there. It'll be fun. So, all right, everybody, we'll see you next week, 9:00, Mouthwash Show, a minty fresh take on life, but we still do a little bit of politics. Everybody, peace out.